Well, Spoons, having been behind in the game, to come back and earn a point out of that one, you must be pleased.
Yeah, pleased. Just frustrated that we keep having to go a goal behind before we come back. That's 3 or 4 games that we've done it in now, and you know that's great that the lads are showing that kind of level of commitment and desire. But you know, I'd like to be in front and see if we can deal with being in front. But no credit to the players. You know, they come back into that. They're a good side, Burnley, very good side, and we spoke around what their strategy would be. We knew they'd dominate the ball, but we had to make sure we was patient and concentrate. And I thought we did. You know, they had lots of possession, but in terms of chances, particularly in the first half, they come from wide areas, but didn't really trouble the keeper too much. So, from the defensive structure, really pleased.
Yeah, you mentioned that first half there. Difficult for either side to get into any sort of rhythm. It felt like a bit of a bitty game. Do you just have to try and overcome that as a group of players?
Yeah. You know, I don't think the referee helped in that. I thought he played his part in making it very bitty. But yeah, we surrendered possession too quickly. We didn't. I thought we lacked quality when we got the ball. We lacked quality on the ball, and you know, it's that's not always been what we're about. You know, we can normally play with some quality, but I thought we lacked quality today. We surrendered possession far too easily, and consequently, they get the ball back, and then you know you get fouls that keep on giving and that, and I suppose in some ways it arrests their progression because you know they can't build their momentum because they're constantly free kicks, but. You know, I'd agree with you that the first half was very bitty.
Yeah, and then the second half, obviously they get the breakthrough. What was your view of the goal?
Yeah, I mean Zach's held his hand up. You know, he went walkabouts for it, but he made up for it after that with an absolute outstanding save. But yeah, he's experienced enough to recognise that, and he said it to me, my fault. But like I say, you know, then he makes an outstanding save like that. So, yeah, sometimes things go for you, sometimes they don't individually, and it didn't go for him to start with, but certainly did with a save at the end. But yeah, I thought it was a soft goal to concede. You know, given how hard we'd worked to stay in the game, and then to go and surrender it like that was disappointing. But as I say, you know, the equalising goal was a terrific strike.
Yeah, sorry, Spoons. You mentioned it there, just the boys to show the character you're behind in the game. It's been bitty, you haven't generated much momentum up to that point, but then it's a lovely work goal as well, not just the finish, but down that left-hand side and sweetly struck by Josh Hope.
Yeah, no, as you say there, Dow, it was a good build-up. And I just felt when we got up here, I thought there's something, a cutback or something. I thought it might just be a little penalty spot strike or something, but when it fell for him, you know, it was a wonderful technique, you know, head still, upper body still, and didn't try to blast it. It was all about the technique, and yeah, it was a fantastic finish, and that set us up. And I thought we was growing into the game more and more then, and then we lasted a little bit because we changed the shape, and we want to get a few more people around the midfield areas because we weren't getting a lot of joy from the outside areas. And put them. Well, we went a diamond there, and just hoping that any quality would come from the two outside of the diamond who can play wide, just drifting there, maybe exposing them a little bit in 1v1s. And it helped to a point, and then they got back in it again, and looked like they was going to win it. And then right at the death, we've had a little flurry, and the keeper's pulled off a really good save from Frank Tatton. And I thought we might have just nicked it at the end, but you know, I think a real plus for us is to gain a point, but I'd like to see us not go behind and have a mountain to climb after that.
You mentioned that Burnley are a very good side. How beneficial is it for some of the young players out there to go up against a team like that and play against decent sides and being involved in a good competitive 21s game?
Yeah, I think they would replicate, you know, a Cat 1 team. You know, they've got lots of movement and they move the ball quickly. And it's a great experience for them, just not as a collective but individually, you know, having to deal with that, but you know, the wide areas, the wing backs having to deal 1v1s and that, and they were very tricky. They get them on the top line, then they drop them down, so the centre halves were going in and dealing with it 1v1. So there was lots of positives and learning and that from it, but I'd like to see us control the game a little bit.
Yeah. A word on young Trevan, who was up there alongside Kiki Simmons this afternoon. He was up against 2 units at centre half, but great to see a young kid playing more football again at 21s level.
Yeah, that's great. You know, we're saying there was a lot of fouls. I liked it that we was competitive. I thought, you know, some of them wasn't fouls, but Trevan got himself booked, and Kiki. So you got your 2 strikers on yellow cards, and you're a little bit concerned. But Trevan, he back tackled, he won the ball, and when he did get the opportunity to run at people, he was a threat. And you know, it's a 15-year-old boy playing against 2 6'4". You know, I wouldn't fancy that. But you know, as a lad that's small and slight, he punches way above his weight. I thought he'd give a really good account for himself.
Yeah, very finally, just a bit of team news. Rico Brown coming off at half time, but how's Brandon Keeler as well, who was brought off?
Yeah, Brandon, another one of the hamstring gang. Yeah, just felt it tighten up right near his buttock area. So yeah, that's disappointing. But Rico, it was already planned for him to come off because of, you know, it's his first game back for a few weeks. And the same with Frank. Frank just comes on because he coming back. So, you know, much like the first team we've been on at times, we're down to bare bones, and we've got a few players out on loan. So, you know, the team over the next few weeks will certainly look young. But, you know, that's what we do. We push them on that, and they show that kind of quality of resilience. And that, you know, you've got 3 or 4 scholars in there playing. So that's, you know, that's good, and they give a really good account of themselves.
As always, Spoons, thanks for talking to us.
Cheers. Thank you.